Welcome to The Writer's Dream. This is a show where writers can talk about how they write their books, how they publish their books, and how they market their books, and also their very interesting experiences. You can find us here at ltveh.org. Just look for videos and you will find The Writer's Dream. We are on Facebook. Guess what the name of the page is? The Writer's Dream. We're also on Cablevision Channel 20 on Friday at 3 p.m. So we're all over the place. We're on YouTube as well. You have to look for my name, Linda Maria Frank. Well, let's get started because today's guests are really very, very interesting. They are Wilnona Marie and JD, and they have an interesting take on the power of the pen. So welcome, ladies. Say hello.
Hello, and thank you for having us.
Oh,
I,
it is my pleasure. Okay, so the books that I have, first of all, we're going to talk about the books, then we're going to talk about your website and all the other things you do. So, the books I have are And I Thought Growing Up Was Easy. If Only I Were Me, and a thoughtful collection, A Misfit's Guide. These are all probably the way we all felt at some time in our lives. So tell us a little bit about, oh, and Foreign Coffee. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the books before we go into some of the other stuff.
well, we like to call them pop poetry with an or literary life guides. It's literary life guides with pop poetry. Oh, girl, that is your line on our show. Dear, dear, dear. She needs to show up more often, though. So the book, the And I Thought series, I should tell you how it started, but this is Jade's favorite story. So after a few interviews, you recognize what your strengths and weaknesses are, Jade. This is your strength, not mine. And I Thought series, how it started. Don't get comfortable like you're about to tell a tale. Oh, I am about to tell a story. So this is what happened. So Winona said, I'm going to say goodbye to writing forever. I'm going to write my last book and get a grown-up job. And then I said, but okay, if this is your last book, what can we do? I know you should write poetry. She was like, thanks, bestie. You want me to be broke for the rest of my life because poetry doesn't make money. And she was like, what would I even call it? And I said, And I Thought Divorce Was Bad. And then I said, well, wouldn't that be really interesting if this was the one that made your career? So 17, 20 books later, here we are. So I have to tell y'all, never make a bet with your best friend. And then she wins. She will rub it in your face forever. Over 3,000 interviews, and this story has been told on every one. So that's how the books got started. So we, from the And I Thought series, we have And I Thought being Divorce Was Bad, which was with other life lessons, which was a group of women actually that wrote together. And then we have And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy, and that actually came from a 1-star review on And I Thought Divorce Was Bad because it was about emotional and physical, it was about emotional abuse. And the lady was like, I think what they needed to do was stop crying and get up and get their life together. I mean, the abuse was bad, but it wasn't that bad. And I was like, oh my. So I did something that you're never supposed to do. I was a helicopter author. And I was like, well, who wrote this review? And when we found out it was a younger person, we were like, well, life is going to catch up with you, dear. So you need to be prepared for that. So we wrote And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy, and then the rest of the And I Thought series, which is quite a few, and I'm not going to list them all here. As for the Misfit Guide series, this cocktail soirees in the LBD, we did weird things with this one. Like we have a cocktail recipe book that's also a poetry book that tells you how to what to wear to your foreclosure and how to act like a lady in the bar when all you want to do is drink whiskey after your home is foreclosed on. Yes, we how to be a lady in all situations.
You know, that's very interesting because there is no guidebook for this. I mean, we grow up and we see movies and we admire certain people, but there isn't a guide. Well, there are guidebooks for parenting at least now, but there's no guidebook for getting through things like talking to people and the kids, especially today, because they're on the phones all the time. They have to learn how to talk to people. It's and giving these guidelines, I think, is enormously important, and I'm really glad that that's what you're doing. So that's the books. What I want to talk about, though, is all the rest of the stuff. Like I'm going to read a quote that you sent me. Getting money, paying bills, finding your happiness, and maybe your Prince Charming. It looked so easy when you were young. You thought you had it all figured out. Little did you know, life throws you curveballs that derail your plans. And you thought that being grown up was easy. So did these ladies follow their journeys while getting lost in the grown up world. In the second installment of the And I Thought series, Literary Life Guides to Success with Pop Poetry from the original pop poets. Welcome to the Woman's Cave. We discuss everything here. What we don't discuss, please email us and let us know. We will consider it too to be our next topic, the Ladies' Tales show. So tell me about the Ladies' Tales show.
Ooh, which one? Oh, that's so funny. The Ladies' Tale show. The Ladies' Tale is where we did something very interesting. Wilnona, to us, it's interesting to us. To us, it is. So we had a book due, and Wilnona, these characters were running around in Wilnona's head, and she just couldn't get them out of her head. And I said, well, now you just have to write the book, like write whatever it is, get it out your head, so we can actually do the book that's due. If you're a writer, you've been there. You've been there, like the character speaks to you. So she wrote a script instead. Because it's a shorter version. A book is a couple hundred pages. A script is like, I did an hour show, so it's 60 some pages. So I was like, yeah, that works. So I just threw together a script at 60 some pages, and then I like them. I like the characters a lot. Much. And then we did something. We said, well, let's do proof of concept. So we started the Ladies' Tale podcast. And the first episode is the table read of the script. And then there's 3 more episodes with that. And then in the interim, we interviewed like talent managers, agents, just to get more, to understand more about the industry, the movie industry, the music industry, so we could actually continue to write these stories. So it's kind of fun because the show that I wrote was actually called Managers, because at one time we were on tour 26 weeks out of the year and we had 4 managers. And then I was like, well, imagine, and we were shooting a reality show, and I was like, imagine if the managers got a reality show. Because when one of our road managers showed up, everybody loved her. And I was like, if she got her own show, how would this work? If the talent that you're actually managing starts dropping off, and then the people that are managing you start getting more famous than you, how does that work? And so we started writing that show. And then we recognized, not we, you. These are the characters that were in your head. The characters. I went along for the ride. And then I recognized that I couldn't write just about what was going on, because the actors who did the table read then said, we'll be back next week to do episode 2, which I did not have. So I wrote episode 2. And so we've been going on since then. But then so we started interviewing managers, talent agents, and stuff like that. Now we do have 3 other shows, and you probably be more interested in 2 of the other shows.
Yes, I was just going to ask you about your interview show.
So we have the And I Thought show, which is also an interview show as well. And that's when we just meet people and we like them. We're like, yes, I want to know more, and let's talk to them. We have literally interviewed people from team makers all the way down to like PAs of Nelson Mandela. Right. So we just find things very interesting and want to know more. So the curiosity, I guess, is the writer brain. And then we have the writer's class, where we talk mostly about like how to write, what are your techniques, what's your marketing. It's just about writing and authors. And that's what publishers going too. Yeah, we have publishers on. This is when we kind of get nerdy about like, let's write people and see what goes behind it. But the Ladies' Tale podcast is also an interview show, but it's strictly Hollywood.
I was on your show, one of them.
The And I Thought show. Yes.
Yeah.
In the writer's class, because
it was a fun interview. Yeah. So basically what you're doing is you're opening up a whole dialogue, I would say, with people to talk, with women to talk about just about anything they want to. Do you ever have men on the show? Yes. Yes, we do. We have men on the show, and actually one of my way back in the day, one of my favorite episodes was when we talked about Doctor Who, and we had a round table. It was one of my favorite shows. Yes, there was guys on it, and I told you we talk about everything, anything that comes to mind. My favorite show on the end, I thought, would have been, we talked to Fief Sutton. He's a guy, but he was the executive producer on Cheers,
Oh my God.
and a writer.
And a writer. And he also wrote on MASH.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
MASH too.
and Boston Legal. And so it was cool finding out what happened. But then he also wrote a book. Actually, he's wrote two series, and he wrote with Janet Ivanovich.
Right.
And
So
yeah, so that was a blast to find out like the difference between the writing world and then writing in Hollywood world, and then what happens behind the scenes. And he came back like three times.
And we got to see his Peabody. He showed up his little.
He did. He has a Peabody and an Emmy.
Wow. So, what do you think of AI writing books?
AI writing books. AI is a helpful tool.
You can actually input information into a program and they'll write the book for you.
No.
I don't.
I don't like it either. Most
think
authors don't like it.
I think that maybe for someone that really does have a story, because I do have dyslexia, and so I feel like maybe those voices through AI may be able to get heard.
Well,
and maybe you felt like you couldn't write that book because literally this is the reason I never wrote before Winona dragged me kicking and screaming to write. I have dyslexia, and I was like, how am I gonna write anything? Like, what are you talking about? I struggled. And I mean, I love to read and I love all this stuff, but I didn't think I could do it. So maybe AI will be a helpful tool for those people.
I think it would be interesting to have AI write the book that you want to write, and you write the book before you look at AI, and then compare the two, because sometimes I think that they can come up with, I would say, themes or roads that you could take in the book that you might not have even thought about, and then it might open you up. But the final book has to be you. It has to be your writing.
I'm not gonna lie, like I have tried out AI just to see like what it does and I've tried a couple programs to see what it does. And a lot of times I like different scenes, I like different sentences, but it's not me. Like even when you put in like in the voice of Wilnona Marie and then give it an example and then give it a chapter, it's like, okay, that's great. And then sometimes it's, you know how they say it could get it wrong? It can get it very wrong. It had it in the wrong city, on the wrong street, and the person was drinking tea and they would have never drank tea because they always order scotch, was something I had put in earlier, and I had given it the whole book, like the majority of what I had written about this character. So I was very, very confused about why. And then at the end, they put him in the wrong setting. So, and I've done it on a couple places.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, I like AI. It's very helpful. Like it really did help me figure out like I'd have gotten through the writer's block eventually, like where it was gonna go if I just kept writing. But it did help like give me a few more options about what I wanted to do and where the characters could go.
It's definitely technology is definitely a tool, right? Because we went from handwriting, we went from handwriting books to to typewriters to computers to maybe sometimes I know some authors that literally just talk into their phone and have it like do the dictation.
That's right.
Definitely, I think a tool because as technology is always, well, most of the time it's helpful sometimes.
But I also think the kind of writing that you do, the books that you produce, it's really much, much better to have your authentic voices in the writing. And I
think people could tell. I think they could tell.
Honestly, like I tried that prompt as well. I was like, okay, could you make me a book that does this, 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 and this? And then like I was like, oh, this is not.
No,
that's nowhere close.
Because your entire effort here, the website, your books, the interviews you do, everything has a particular flavor to it. And how would you define that flavor?
Quirky.
Yes.
Quirky? Oh, I think it's more than that.
Quirky fun. I mean, come on. Like it's who else do you know that decides like, okay, yo, I'm gonna be a little braggadocious here.
Murder mystery poetry book.
Yes.
But I think that we do quirky things because we want to tell people it can be done.
Yeah.
It's just so it's your voice and maybe
it's a quirky outlook on how to navigate through life.
Yes. And that's why we wrote the Misfit Guide series, because Wilnona and I, we like to call it adventures. Our friends like to call it mishaps, but we call them adventures.
Yeah.
We call them adventures. Adventures happen to us almost daily. And we're like, that's very strange. Like the time that what was it, one of the times?
Yeah,
The
tell me
time I
about
got
those
my
adventures.
well, the time I got my dress caught, like I got out the car and I went to go pump gas, and I literally got my dress tangled around the gas pump
Hose.
hose, so that every time I lift the hose to put it into the car, my dress would lift up far enough that things would have been seen. So I was outside trying to figure out how this happened, and
And
I
it,
still don't, to this day, I do not know. I was just messing with the gas pump, and and it was caught up in it, and it was caught up at the top where the nozzle really like gets in, and I'm trying to get. Oh, it was horrible.
so we're out there, and I'm out there like, okay, move to the left, okay, move to the right. Like I'm trying to block the view from
So
everyone.
she goes in the trunk and she grabs a coat and was like, "All right, you're gonna have to lift the dress up and do a twirly twirl and hold on to the pump." And I'm doing this like a dip and dive under the pump to get the dress out. This has never happened to anyone but us. There's also the time where my parents used to go on vacation together, and every time for like almost 4 years, every hotel that we stayed in, and we went on vacation. Well, our parents went on vacation about every 3 months together.
Yeah, so
Yeah, our
once a
family
season.
yeah, about
Once a
once a
season.
season. And every hotel that we went to, the smoke alarm would get pulled, the fire alarm would get pulled, and we
In the
had
middle of the night.
run out, and everyone else is like, "Oh my God, I'm running out their beds." We got dressed and we had our clothes set out and our shoes that we wanted to wear to make sure that we matched, just in case the building was actually on fire this time and the news showed up. We wanted to look good. And every time for 4 years, middle of the night, 1 a.m.
Everybody else, everyone else is like misshapen, and we're looking fabulous. We're looking fabulous. Like, there we go, hair done, makeup on. Hey,
We're outside just standing there. If it's cold outside, we have a coat already out. Like,
and
they're like, "Oh my God, I ran out, I left my coat." And everyone's like, "You can't go back." And we're like, "Oh, we're fine.
we're
We
fine.
bought a few for you. Anybody need a blanket?"
Anybody need one? Because we were prepared.
So, with all of this preparation, okay, sleeping in your clothes and whatnot, when you were out there on the fire drill, did you meet anybody interesting?
Uh,
It was 1 in the morning.
Was it worth it?
Well, it's worth it because it just made it. We were younger then, and so that's where the Misfit Guides was born from. So yes, it was worth waking up and having to run out, because then we recognized that, okay, so we're quirky. That's life.
so please understand that there are 4 books in the series, and each one has a resume of things that happen
That literally happened
that
to
have
us.
literally happened in the front. So it's like a resume, and then it's like the next one is like, so this is, we wrote the books to be like, it says Misfit Guide. So it's like you're applying to be a misfit guide at a resort of people who have mishaps.
Don't quite fit in.
They don't quite fit in. So one book is this, the next book is like the job interview, the application process, like you're going through so we literally write things that happen to us. And we have 4 books worth. And we're not done.
No, you're not done at all. I'm sure you're going to have many more interesting episodes in your life, shall we say. So, what do you put on your podcasts?
Oh, what do we put on our podcast? Just about everything.
I know we don't talk about politics or religion, but everything.
No politics.
Yeah, we are open.
It's not a good idea when you're trying to sell books.
Yes. So
but
we are open to having people on and discussing almost just about anything. We like to discuss.
Do you put your interviews on the podcast, or is it separate? Or
yeah, we have 4 podcasts, as we explained, as we mentioned before. So like all of we have different interviews for different podcasts.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of the interviews go on the podcast. In fact, I mean, if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't have
right.
Right.
So the website is www.andithoughladies.com. And when you go on that website, there are so many things that you offer. You have podcasts, you have your books, of course, and you also have a clothing line. Tell me about the clothing line.
I'm wearing it.
Is this the dress that got caught on the
No.
I was 18 when the dress got caught.
But yeah, that was just I'll never forget that day. That summer day. At least it was summer though. So our clothing line started because we were thinking, of course, that's how it all.
What do misfits wear?
Right? Probably
Pretty
much. And also we were thinking, what's another way to promote ourselves without being super in your face, like, hello, buy my book. And then we thought, we have a book full of sayings. And people like to wear sayings on their clothes. So why aren't we doing that? Clothing
So
line began.
So we actually we had started getting invitations to interesting events. Like people had asked us to come to awards. As I mentioned before, we were on book tour like half the year for about 3 years.
Movie premieres.
We were going to movie premieres. We went to fashion shows for a little bit. And so and you get photographed. And we were in magazines on a regular basis at that point. So we get photographed. And we were like, why are we wearing these clothes when we could be
Also
photographed in our clothes? And I think the coolest thing that happened for me, the coolest thing that happened from the clothing line was that we actually got to be in an international fashion magazine.
Yeah, that was really
Wow.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on the list of things that you sent to me. And so do you recommend certain clothes for certain occasions, or you just catalog your adventures through the fashion world?
We have some very nice sarongs. So in this season, that would be very nice. And
we have a bathing suit collection with sarong.
With sarong.
So you can go to the beach and match your book. So it's actually sometimes it's our book titles and covers that are on the actual clothes. It doesn't look kitschy, I promise you.
It does not. I would not allow that.
So so you can actually you can take, and I thought being grown up was easy. This cover and with the palm trees and everything. And
I turned it into a part of the clothing line.
Yeah. And you could take that and you could match your book that you're reading. But I think the part that would about what do we wear. So we based our brand style, because she's a stylist, by the way. We based our stylish-ish. We based our brand style off of the 1950s. As I said before we got on here, it was that I love vintage things. So we have 1950s, 1960s, and 1980s looks.
See, my favorite is the 40s. I loved if you watch old movies that were filmed in the 40s, just take a look at the clothes. They always made the women look good, as opposed to some of the clothes that they have today, which
I literally
look a little too much good.
I literally just bought a dress from I was inspired by the 1940s because I actually do like the 40s look. And so I'm excited to be wearing that soon.
Yeah.
All right, good. So awards, tell me about the awards that you've won.
Oh, I won Poet of the Year in 2019.
Wow. That's great.
I'm telling you, it was one of the most surreal moments of my life. As I mentioned before, I have dyslexia. And so writing for me was always a struggle. And to win that award was something that made me be like, okay, work hard enough, you might actually be able to do what you can. And it's still, look, writing is still hard for me. I am one of those people that, yes, talking to their phone.
Yeah, well, I have a hard time too. I have the story. I can tell you the story, but then to write it down, I think is a whole nother endeavor, I think.
I find it's a lot about organizing things, and they say that writing is when
the award you won.
Okay,
Wilnona.
They say that writing is when science meets creativity, and then you just kind of do it like that. The award that I won was the Advocacy Award. It was given to me by a nonprofit that deals with domestic violence, because in our first book we talked about surviving emotional abuse and financial abuse. Actually, we got invited to the White House off of that one. Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. But also they gave it to me because I was also an abuse survivor, and being able to turn that into something helpful. And then we have a workbook on trying to find yourself after emotional abuse, and we do use some of our poetry as a way to open up and work through the trauma. That book would have been And I Thought Divorce Was Bad, which was the one that did the emotional abuse. We also have our own award.
Hold it up again, because there's a reflection on it. Yes, that's it. Great. That's good.
And then we also have our own awards, which was in its 9th year. Next year will be the 10th year, the Inspirational Women in Literature, Media, and Journalism
And we
Award.
just held that last weekend, so that would be June.
And this is extremely impressive because women are facing today all of the problems that we thought we solved 20 years, 30 years ago. And I think you're providing a tremendous service. We have about 2 minutes left. Anything you want to say in 2 minutes that I haven't asked you?
Well, not really, but I mean, we can always close how we always close it. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughladies.com. Just remember, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. Please remember that includes your own journey in writing
and your own story. We want to hear them.
Exactly. And your books are all available on Amazon, and I see they're available as audiobooks. Audiobook, but don't you find audiobooks are the big sellers?
I
Oh.
love audiobooks.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're the big sellers. You have, I'm sure, ebook and paperback, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's important. So it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. You deal with women's problems and you deal with them with grace and humor, and you make it great fun and give people hope that they're going to survive their teenage years, their young years, and finally be wise and old, right? I'd rather be wise and young. So thank you so much for being on the show. I enjoyed it immensely. So take care.
Thank you for having us.
Ladies.
We really appreciate it.
Bye bye now.